Boom, we're in. We're not quite live yet because I've got to press go live on Instagram. I'm Chris Grimes. That is the delightful, gorgeous, lovely actor Michael Maloney. I'm just waiting for the Instagram button to suddenly become a live link.
Very good.
Instagram, which gives us a bit of a false beginning, but all will be good. I'm just getting, yes, the button's now responding.
Lovely.
Wonderful. So that was a false beginning. And now we're going to go live again now in a couple of seconds. So, welcome to the show. So here we go, going live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Good Listening To Show, Stories of Distinction and Genius. It is my absolute joy to welcome a trophy cabinet guest.
Good Lord.
This
Good
is the
Lord.
gorgeous, lovely actor, Michael Maloney. Michael, you've been preparing your entire life for the fact that you are now playing Hercule Poirot.
Unwittingly, absolutely right. Yes.
And you have been described by the director, Lucy Bailey. She says, "At last, I found my perfect Poirot."
That's pretty
and
good.
You're following in the illustrious, pencil-moustached, treading the board steps. See what I'm doing there?
I do.
Peter Ustinov, David Suchet, Sir Kenneth Branagh, to name but 3. And I also, I'm going to let you speak in a minute, but I adore you from back in the day because of Truly, Madly, Deeply.
Very good. Filmed in Bristol.
Ah, yes. And another sort of 6 degrees of separation. I know Alan Rickman was in that with Juliet Stevenson, and I played a young Alan Rickman in something called Song of Lunch in a sort of montage.
Excellent.
With Emma Thompson back in the day. But anyway.
What a life.
Yes, indeed. But anyway, Michael Maloney, British iconic actor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Hello there. Good afternoon.
And we may as well tell the world, old people and technology, it's taken us about half an hour to get here.
No, it's taken me half an hour. It would have taken you half a second. But there we are. We're here.
And you're on tour with Murder on the Orient Express. I'm going to do a very exciting section at the end, which is show us your QR code, please, where I'm going to invite the audience to go and buy tickets.
Gosh.
You're welcome. And you've been very kind, and I'll just get you to say it out loud publicly. You invited me to come to Bath to see it. Thank you very much.
Yes, good. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Wonderful. So it's really, really wonderful to have you here, Michael. How's morale? And what's your story of the day, please?
Okay, so morale is pretty good. We're in Birmingham. We've just finished 3 days. We turn up on a Tuesday. We rehearse it all over again on a Tuesday afternoon at the new venue, do an evening show. Next day, 2 shows. Next day, 2 more shows. So we've had 5 shows in 3 days. We've completed that. We capped it with a famous Balti meal in the Balti Triangle last night at Shababs in Ladypool Road. We've had a fantastic evening, and now I've got the day free. I'm going to be talking to you, and then I'm going to go and see the Pre-Raphaelites, the Birmingham City Museum and Art Gallery. How about that?
I love that. And what was the big shout out to where you went for a big Balti curry last night?
Shababs, Shababs.
Shababs Banabs. Yeah, fantastic. Also, I know this week, because I was watching you on Facebook, you've reached an iconic moment of having had 100 shows this week of your current tour.
Most certainly have. It's 100. We've got at least 80 more to go. We're about 15 weeks, coming up to completing 15 weeks now, with a further 11. And I believe the show may go on after that.
The show must go on.
The show will go on. Absolutely.
And yes, do you want to tell us anything else about the show that you're in at the moment? Then we'll backtrack on the illustrious career and the wonderful time you've had to get to.
Thank you so much. I think it's an inspired show, and that's down to Lucy Bailey and the designer Mike Britton, who've done a tremendous job, and also Mike Poole, who is a sound designer, which is now so crucial. You throw that in the mix, you've got a perfect adaptation by Ken Ludwig for the stage, and then you've got a fantastic ensemble cast. Headed by someone who's got a really big part, but I'm part of the group.
Yes, and your tash is majestic, may I say, and of course it is the famous Hercule Poirot, Belgian super sleuth.
Thank you. And they love me in the bull ring here, I can tell you. They are. Tell me.
Lovely. And have you always been able to grow a tash? Because I'd probably have to stand in a bucket of peat for many days.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but in fact, yes, I have been able to do that, and it's a major asset. Because I've only had to wait 47 years to have some kind of facial hair required.
Yes, and I did say you've prepared your entire life for this moment. I've already said that your director, Lucy Bailey, has described you as being, I found my perfect Poirot. So does it feel as a sort of career high that you have arrived at that majestic point? Because it's a
Look,
perfect part.
career high. Look, here's the thing. We're banging it out every night. We've done 100. We've done 103 now since you last saw that post. Um, it's just every day you've got to maintain a proper balance for the show, a proper offering for 1,000 people a night, which is what we've
Yes,
got here. I wouldn't say it's the pinnacle of my career, but it might well be when I look back in a little while. But
yeah.
right now, it's a job of work that's got to be done every day. But it's a great thing to come to, and it was an unexpected offer. I must say, it did not occur to me that this would come up, and what a great gift it's been.
Yes. And I know, would you say hello to Beth Tuckey for me? Because she
I
was in the
most certainly
year
will.
beneath, I was the year
Really.
below her at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre
I
School.
would love to do that, and she's terrific. She's off sick this week.
Ah,
She's torn a ligament, and she's putting her feet up. Thank goodness. We wish her a speedy recovery. So all very good. And my daughter just graduated from Bristol Old Vic Theatre Company.
oh,
By the way. Martha in July. Martha Maloney.
what a great actress
Really
name,
good.
Martha
And
Maloney.
and here's the other thing. Her first job was to make a short film in Bristol, playing David Suchet's daughter. How about that?
It's a small world, but we wouldn't
I,
want to hoover it, as they say.
exactly.
Yes.
Very good.
It's this is the show, just a tiny bit of context for those that are
Yes.
watching, the show in which I invite movers, makers, shakers, mavericks, influencers, and also, here you come, personal heroes into a clearing or serious happy place of my guests' choosing, as they all share with us their stories of distinction and genius. And it is my absolute delight to be able to curate you through the particular storyscape of what we're going to be doing together.
Yes. Good.
Wonderful. So the invitation will be to go as deep as you like, when you like, how you like, when you like, as I curate you through a clearing, a tree, a lovely juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There'll be some alchemy, some gold, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a golden baton, and a
I
cake.
say. Well, good luck, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck, number one.
Just before I just need to blow a bit more happy smoke at you.
Oh.
You have been a historic, oftentimes foil of a fellow Poirot, Sir Kenneth Branagh, because I know you were in the original iconic film version of Henry V.
That's right.
You're playing the Dauphin. Also, you've been in Belfast, which is another complete banger of a gorgeous film.
Absolutely. Also, Othello, I played Roderigo to his Iago, who played Iago to Lawrence Fishburne's Othello. And also I played Laertes in his film of Hamlet as well. I think it's just the four. I think, yeah. So it's another black and white film we made, which was In the Bleak Midwinter, which is about a group of actors trying to put on Hamlet in a church hall.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good fun, which he wrote and directed, and I played Joe Harper, the lead guy. It's good.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
yes, I'm delighted that you've been a long time foil of his too.
Yes.
Also, you've played Edward Heath in The Crown, the Netflix series as well.
I did, and that was pretty good. I was there for a few days, on and off, and it's one of those big budget productions. You know, what you see is they give you a significant budget, and they pay for significant locations. And if our unit has to go and film in Spain, they go to Spain. They don't do green screen or blue screen. They go to Spain, and that's an entire unit. That rarely happens anymore. But you see the difference in production values as a result. Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed researching you again to get you up to this point. And I rewatched the YouTube official trailer of Truly, Madly, Deeply. And then I asked somebody, a really good friend, and said, "Oh, do you remember Truly, Madly, Deeply?" And then ironically, they said barely. So if we make the sequel, we'll call it Truly, Madly, Deeply, Barely.
Truly, Madly, Deeply, Barely. Yeah, or Truly, Barely. Yeah.
But I remember cloud watching, as being a thing within that film.
Yes.
But also I remember you bouncing down the South Bank, just being, the next romantic.
Yes. Very good. Yeah, very interesting, wasn't it? In fact, originally that film was going to be called Cello, named after the instrument. And indeed, the play on words was, when you were looking at the clouds, they would be cielo. Yeah. Or I think in Italian it would be cielo, so it sounded better. But of course, we're talking to a Spanish character, a South American character in the film, so it would be cielo. So it would be very, very different. Anyway, America decided that wasn't such a catchy title, and so it became Truly Madly Deeply, which was a word game within the show. Yeah,
Yes. And
yeah.
what do the Americans know? I love the way
Hey,
you said cielo. That was lovely.
yeah, it's good, wasn't it? Yeah.
And you know, whatever you do, if you're listening, watching, it is a classic, beautiful, gorgeous film. It's very, very moving, particularly now, because the irony is Alan Rickman is playing a, you know, deceased ghost. Not a bit of a spoiler, but now he's no longer with us. That's a great tragedy too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, he was extraordinary. Yeah, yeah.
Let's get you on the open road of the Good Listening To show. So,
Come on now.
first of all, then, Michael, where is a clearing for you? What's your serious happy place, would you say? Where do you always go to get
Physical happy space. I was thinking of two places. I mean, I'm going to choose the one in the end. The one I'm not going to choose anymore is a beach in Suffolk called Aldborough Thorpeness Beach. It's actually very near Sizewell Power Station, which is not such a great thing. But you're looking out at the North Sea. No, you're not. You're looking out across a channel leading to Belgium, and it's just a very, very stark place. Good for pebble throwing, imbuing various thoughts and prayers into pebbles and throwing them out to sea. But in fact, my regular place is Epping Forest. And that's because it's 15 minutes walk from where I live. Me and the dog go there. We disappear for hours on end because you can. It's a 19-mile forest,
Yes.
4 miles wide at some points. Very
What's
interesting.
so extraordinary in my circa 250 episodes,
Yeah.
until last episode, nobody had
Yes.
said Epping Forest. So I wonder
Oh,
if you ever bump into John Altman, who wrote all the music for Monty Python, in the
yeah.
forest.
Isn't that funny? We probably have passed each other. I've met artistic directors in there of various theatres.
I love that. They're all
Yeah, yeah.
hiding in the forest.
So it's all good. It's all good.
And
Yeah, but
coming
it's
back to your,
amazing.
sorry to interrupt you, coming back to your Suffolk beach, the irony there of you saying you can see Belgium, that's where Hercule Poirot
That's
is
right.
from.
And that's probably why I went. Someone was trying to tell me something, and it's taken me all this while to realize it. Thank you for that.
Yes, you're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So lovely. We're in Epping Forest, and now I'm going to arrive with a tree within your forest.
Mm,
I know there's lots around anyway, but I'm bringing in an extra tree now. And this
thank
is a
you.
bit waiting for Godot-esque deliberately. I'm going to shake your
Yes.
tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. How do you
Oh,
like these
okay.
apples?
Come on,
Mhm.
then. Come on.
And so you've been kind enough to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, actor Michael
Yeah.
Maloney, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention, and borrowed from the film Up. That's a bit, oh, squirrels, you know what never fails to grab your
Indeed,
attention.
indeed, indeed.
And then the
Yeah, yeah.
one is the quirky or unusual fact about you we couldn't possibly know until you tell us. Now, it's not a
It,
memory test. So
thank you.
over to you to interpret the shaking of the canopy of your tree.
Thank you very much indeed. And I took your advice at its word, which was don't overthink it. And so here we are. I've got 4 things that shaped me. And the first one, the first 2, in fact, are out of your control. You're expected to agree to these things before you realize there's a choice. And so you find yourself in the situation. Unfortunately for me, or fortunately, boarding school was the first thing. My dad was in the armed forces. They pay for 2/3 at that point of the schooling. It's a no-brainer for people who are moving around every 18 months. Put them in a school. You cease to become a member of a family immediately. From the age of 7 onwards, I'm 36 weeks away from home and 16 at home. And it's a seriously heartbreaking
Yeah.
time. And something actually which you can't articulate at the age of 7, except to feel incredibly unhappy. So you can express that. And that went on. However, it also made me, it gave me self-sufficiency. It had, in the end, to force me, coerce me into getting on with life.
Yes.
Then you have to pick up the pieces later on. So that's an enormous shaper, I would say. Here's the second one. It's Roman Catholicism. These 2 things are without my agreement, and yet I find myself agreeing to them. Roman Catholicism gave me a sense of faith. It also gave me a sense of fear of the future, a sense of guilt, but it also gave me this understanding that there may be a higher intelligence other than one's own thinking, and that's quite useful. So
Yes.
I've gone pursuing other paths of religion since, or faith or spirituality. These are all very good. I'm what's known as a cradle Catholic, someone born into the religion, and I don't stray that far from it. It had a very profound effect on me and a beneficial effect at times as well. I wouldn't say that this is an evil bugbear of a thing,
Yeah.
which is such a currency at the moment. For me, that was not the case. For others, it certainly was. It's professed to be that, and it's proven to be that. So those two things are incredibly important to me. They shaped me. But then then I coasted for a while, and I grew up, and I enjoyed life, and I had a great time at drama school. I went to Lambda. Oh, I think we played you at football once. We lost. We're never going to play you again.
It's
Goodbye.
the iconic
Yeah.
football match between Lambda and the Bristol Old Vic
Oh
Theatre
yes, oh
School.
yeah, yes, astonishing work. Yeah, and you know, and so there. 4 years into my career, where I was having a lovely career, lots of bits of telly work and stuff like that, lovely, joined the Royal Shakespeare Company. So this is the next thing that really shapes me. The first season I went in there was so anarchic, so talented, so extraordinary, and I'll name drop quite a few people now, but it had people. Well, one actor is no longer with us, called Bob Peck, who was in this fantastic television series called The Edge of Darkness, is what most people know for him. But he did 15 years in the Royal Shakespeare Company. Then we had Derek Jacobi, soon to be, yet to be Sir Derek Jacobi, Michael Gambon, Anthony Sher. Anthony Sher at this point had just experienced a resurgence in his career, where he was just reconsidering retraining as a voice therapist, a speech therapist,
Wow.
because work was so thin on the ground for him. And it just taken off again. And here he came. And we had Alan Armstrong, and we had Sinead Cusack, and we had Sarah Kesselman, and who else we had? Jenny Agutter. We had extraordinary people. Helen Mirren suddenly turned up to play Cleopatra.
Oh, look, Helen.
Michael Gambon turned
Yeah.
up to play Antony, and I played Mark Antony, Michael Gambon's slave, called Eros, and he would refer to me every night as Ear Ross. Bring me my armor. And of course, I'm the only one on stage who's going to laugh, am I? Because I'm the youngest and I'm at school. So
Yeah.
I go off stage laughing. I come on stage laughing, and I'm the red-nosed idiot for the whole season. And they are so it was extraordinary. There was also an up-and-coming young actor called Mark Rylance, I believe.
Oh,
Also,
yes.
he just entered. That was his first job for the Royal Shakespeare Company. And of course, a mentor of mine, Pete Postlethwaite.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Gosh.
Pete Postlethwaite, I think, of Bristol, very much a
Yes,
Bristol Old Vic Theatre actor, and a really extraordinary influence on me. And
yes,
indeed, in this show, there's an actress called Christine Kavanagh, and she and I were beginners in this
yes,
company. It was so insane. So it was just so talented that they could do anything. And you had some people at the helm, like Derek Jacobi, who was very, very straightforwardly behaved and highly disciplined. And if you have two or three of those at the helm, the rest of us can do all sorts of stuff, because you can rely on those people steering the ship. And we were all over the shop. I mean, extraordinary. All over the shop, and really enjoying ourselves. And Gisette Simon was in there. Leslie Sharp was in there. Went out with Leslie Sharp for 5 years after that. Marvelous. And that was a fantastic influence. And I'm not going to choose this piece of music, incidentally, thinking of future down the line. But if there's one song
yeah,
from that anarchic time, it would have been No More Heroes by the Stranglers. And that really sums it up. It was so insane. And that song really captured the moment of it. 1982. This music is current. It's coming out. We've got Elvis Costello on the airwaves. It's there's a lot of punk going on.
yeah,
We can't participate in it because we're in Shakespeareville. But
yes.
but out there, this music is influencing us, so it's very good.
I've just been going nom 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 nom
Nom nom
nom
nom.
nom 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 throughout that whole monologue. So thank you very much.
That's very good. It's very good. So that was fantastic. And of course, I've been back a couple of times since, and I really, really enjoyed my time there. I don't know if there's another time for me there, but what I had was extraordinary, and that shaped me. And it's given me
Lovely.
extraordinary discipline to play something like Poirot.
Yeah,
Everything I've learned classically, I apply to Poirot, and it's about
yes,
theatre discipline and theatre expression and word emphasis, as we used to call it,
yes.
or emphasis. Anyway, and then finally, my fourth piece is music.
Yeah,
Music, which I think I've touched on there just now. Music of any kind. I'm a great lover of jazz, um, but I love contemporary music.
yeah,
I played Benjamin Britten, so I went straight in Aldborough, funnily enough, but at the National Theatre. So I explored classical music in earnest, especially contemporary classical music. Um, I do various poetry recitals, and with oh dear, dear, who do I do it with? Lucy Parham, concert pianist extraordinary, a young musician of the year at one point. Young Musician of the Year, Young Musician of the Year judge now, and we do the music of various composers, quite extraordinary. So music all the time, and even now, oh, you know. We had by the time we got to yesterday, we've got 2 matinee shows. You know, we've got another 2 shows and no respite. And last time I looked at the clock was at 4:30 a.m. So I had no sleep either, and I've got these 2 shows to do. Change the mood with music. So out of the blue, I chose a gospel playlist yesterday. Woof! It took me right through, and it was fantastic. We had a great day. I had probably a better day than the previous day when I was pacing myself.
You have such a natural ebullience. This is really exciting because I'm just
Oh well.
joyriding along on the sort of the
Oh,
non.
that's very good. Oh, cheers. Well, thank you so much. Well, look, there we are. Those are the 4.
And can I just ask you one question about childhood and boarding school?
Yes.
If you have such a scorchingly negative experience, which you elicit to yourself, does that mean you then didn't do that as a parent yourself? Your kids, they did not go to boarding school, I'm assuming.
They did not go to boarding school.
Yeah.
And of course, there were only the one, Martha. They did not go to boarding school. They just went to everyday school,
Yeah.
and they wanted to go to boarding school, and I
Oh,
wouldn't let them.
wow.
I know. Isn't that
Ironic.
funny? Isn't that funny? But I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't let him. And indeed, I think I would have been right because she's very, very close to her mum and dad,
Yeah.
and it would have torn her heart in two, as it did mine. But but divorce also produces that, which of course
Yes.
we all experienced, and divorce recreates exactly that same syndrome of separation.
Yes.
So it's deep within you subconsciously. Listen, I had a bad time at boarding school in the way I've described it, but I also, out of that, you also find victories and
Yeah.
happiness on an everyday level. But the underscore is, one of separation, and that I suppose to use a well-worn word at the moment, traumatic. But
Yeah.
but you can continue. You can.
Yes.
These things happen. These things will always happen. And once you understand that this or something like this will happen, then you can equip yourself to deal with it.
Beautifully put.
Mm.
And now we're on to 3 things that inspire you. Actor Michael Maloney, so over to you.
Very good. Very good. Well, now listen, see, the second time I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company, I had some fantastic opportunities. Oh my God. And I took advantage of a couple of them. But one thing did not go well for me, and that was playing Romeo in Romeo and Juliet. And shortly after that, I met someone who pointed out some very basics of speaking verse. And I busked 2 years of me speaking verse in the way I think it should be done. And then he pointed out some very, very simple formulaic things which you can rely on to use in speaking verse. And his name is Patrick Tucker of the original Shakespeare Company with his partner, Christine Ozanne. And I owe them a great deal. And I would say they're considered controversial. They used Shakespeare's first folio. This is all by the way. What inspires me is the spoken word.
Yes.
And that can be due to my religious upbringing. That can be prayer. It can also be poetry. It can be narration, and it can just be conversation.
Yes.
And the spoken word is highly inspiring. And heightened speech will have to be poetry. Something happens to you when you turn to poetry. You buy a local paper, which is quite difficult nowadays. If you bought a local paper and you looked at the obituaries, people would write poetry in memoriam to their people.
Yeah.
And it would be simple, but it would be from the heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's what inspires me. Poetry especially really inspires me. Okay. Second thing, out of all that, out of the blue, sport. Sport can get you through all sorts of things. For me, it's watching sport. I don't like to play, thank you. But but I love watching sport because it's a simple equation. You go against the odds and you win out over the odds. You win out over the circumstances. And team sports especially I really enjoy, and that's very, very inspiring, quite frankly. And even now, if I'm on a tour, not this one, if I'm on a tour or on a job which is not working out, then you can go win, lose or draw every night. Some nights you'll win, sometimes you'll lose, and sometimes you'll draw, but you go on to the next night where you play yet another game, and you play in again and see what the
Lovely
results are.
metaphor for that.
And
Yes.
in the end, you win more than you lose that way. And
Yeah.
when you come under the overpowering crushing of negative reviews, or often worse than that, indifference.
Yes.
Well, now then, then using the sports analogy is really, really useful, because that was their snapshot for that night. And within 72 hours, you've got yourself a different show. You've
Yeah.
developed more. A week later, ironically, you could be kicking yourself because the stuff you discovered 7 to 10 performances later could have been used on that press night. And now you've lost that opportunity. But so you have to wear those like a terrible cloak.
I like
Um,
that.
yeah,
And also,
yeah.
you are talking of reviews. Your current Poirot, I'm really enjoying how you're going "Mirror," and you're doing your moustache quite a lot
Yes.
as we speak. But you're
Yes.
beautifully crafted, according to Behind the Arras, is
Well,
the
I mean,
reviewing entity.
I've got a beautifully crafted Harris, and that's the way it is, mate. Yeah, it's all beautifully crafted. I've had I've had some fantastic reviews, and I pretend not to read them as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's really great.
Have you had some
And
complete turkeys as well that you'd like to share?
we've and you just think, and in this particular case, anyways, everybody's prerogative to say exactly what they want. I have no quarrel with this whatsoever. Totally support whatever people want to say. But I did think, hang on a minute, were you watching the same show that we were doing? Because but I mean, look, law of averages, we're getting a 90-odd% score of positivity, and
Yes,
that is so rare. It's like an extraordinary convergence of everything going right,
yes, yes,
even on the night.
yes.
And I'm like, oh, I can't believe my luck.
Yeah.
And so that's all good. It's all
And I
good.
love the win, lose, or draw analogy of sporting prowess and
It's
theatrical prowess.
it's quite handy, because it means you go, right, shake it off, go back in again. We're going to play another 90 minutes now. Go on,
And of
off you
course,
go.
a theatre show's a game of two halves as well. That's all
Hey,
good.
just Coglioto. Yeah, very good, very good. Here's my third: a good teacher. And I'm referring again not to the spoken word man Patrick Tucker, but Trevor Nunn,
Wow. Yeah.
Peter Hall. They all had, John Barton, all had things to say that I could pick up about Shakespeare and verse. I may not be able to pick it up as well as they would like me to, but it's there on offer, and it's not their fault, it's mine. Their teaching, their direction has been exceptional. And now you can get that by watching lectures on YouTube. You like a good teacher. You can get it by hearing people talk. Some people will come up. You can hear people's life's experiences in a taxi. Someone talking to you about it. This sort of thing it never stops. You never stop learning. You can draw your own conclusions, and how other people have their perspectives on the world can really help you from your limited perspective. Not yours, my limited perspective. Yeah.
Beautifully put. Love
There you
that.
go. Good,
Uh,
good.
so now, I believe we're on to squirrels. What are your monsters of distraction, sometimes called your shiny object syndrome? We all suffer from it. What are your squirrels? What never fails to
Do you know
distract?
what it is? It's the phone, isn't it? It's the iPhone, which I'm talking to you on now. This is a particularly positive use of the iPhone, because
Thank you.
obviously what's coming out is gold from both sides, clearly. But no, look, I mean, I will look at this phone. I think it really took a serious turn when I got the part of Poirot, and that people started posting things like, here he is, it's a new Poirot, or it's the new Poirot, it's the Poirot for the stage, or like that. So I go, great, this is a time to really market myself. Market myself must be one of the worst turns of phrase you could ever have, because then you then spend hours on checking for approval, not marketing to yourself at all. Put a photograph up of me in a suit as Poirot, or on the train as Poirot, and let's see how many likes you get, how
Yes.
many loves you get, how many laughter faces you get, and who edits out the negative bit. I mean, it just drives you balmy. And then you forget about that and start looking at people shouting at each other on the video section. And the whole world, according to these video sections, is them and us. Whatever you are, I'm them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whatever I am, you're them.
And it's a sort of modern travesty of
Yeah,
how early people are exposed to phones. I didn't get my first phone ever until I was 37. Forgive
yeah.
me aging you. I know you're
Wow.
67. So
That's
how
right.
long have you had your own?
Well, I suppose I've had it since I was. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, one that you can really use like this
Yeah.
when they came out within about 2 years. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Before that, I just used the phone.
Yeah.
to text people, and all right. But then once you've got these video channels and WhatsApp talking channels and streaming channels, and I now have to FaceTime everybody, and it's that's really great. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's the stuff that you allow into your brain, and it's twofold. First of all, that can be quite necessary
Yes.
just to stop you becoming rigid in your thinking. But secondly, overpowered by distorted imagery and manipulated information
Yes.
that tries to lead you to think in a certain way, herd-like, to really violence
Yes. Yes.
or extreme opposition, or not being able to accept how other people exist.
Yes.
Is that you've got to join a camp.
So
That's what
as a squirrel, a sort of vortex of the slippery slope of social media, the abyss we can all plummet into, is your
Yeah,
squirrel, one of your
I
squirrels.
would say it's my squirrel, and also I take a photograph of the squirrel and put it on social media to see if I get approval. You
That's a
know,
lovely interpretation. My second squirrel is a photograph I took.
exactly. As a photo of my cook and my sorrow at not getting enough likes.
That's
You know,
beautifully put.
sorrow, anger, and the desire for revenge at not getting enough likes for my squirrel. Crikey,
Great, great interpretation of your two squirrels. Lovely.
we've got to get rid of that. There
And
we are.
now, a
Yeah.
quirky or unusual fact about you, actor Michael Maloney. We
It's
couldn't
talking. It's talking to myself. I've been I've been an only child, and I was sent away from home, and I just had to talk to myself, and I had to process everything by talking to myself, and then that translates into prayer, because you ask God for help, and God didn't listen for quite a few years, and then you get hit with a broken billiard cue by way of punishment. For the most trivial of things, and that's apparently a very, very good thing for the formation of a young human. And then so it's talking to myself, and I still talk to myself in the forest when I'm not on the phone.
okay.
Unbelievable.
And do you
I
find
take the
you're
phone.
listening when you're talking to yourself?
I do actually. It's very, very simple. What actually happens is you express talking to yourself. Perhaps no one hears it, and it disappears. It's
Yeah.
released and dissolved, and that's very, very good. And I have to have that. I
Yeah.
suppose that's why it's a quirky thing. I have to have that. Hold on, someone's at the front. Someone
Oh,
did something cheeky at the
I
front door,
just
but they can't come in because I had a chain on. Ha 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 ha. Go away. They
so
are
now
very good.
this
There
is
we
a
are.
great radio play now. We've shifted into Michael Maloney's
Exactly.
wandering
Yeah.
around his
Who
flat.
knows what's going on here in Birmingham? I'm in Birmingham, by
Did
the
you
way.
need to answer that, dear? Was that all right?
No, I don't know. Someone tried to open the door. The chain was on, and they went away again. All
Yes.
the joys of burglary. Here we go.
Do
There
you know,
we are.
my last guest told me a very funny story about Frank Sinatra having gone round to a friend's house, and then the neighbours were at the door because they were having a party to say, keep the noise down. Can you imagine
That is
opening up
fantastic,
a
isn't it?
door when Frank Sinatra's standing there and you say, keep the noise down?
I know it's really good, isn't it? Well, there's all those popular stories as well. That popular story where someone said, "Do us a favor, Frank, come over and say hello to me. I want to impress a girlfriend," and he does, and he goes, "Go away, Frank. That's it. Don't stop bothering me, Frank. Go away." But he actually said it in stronger language, but I think that's quite good. That. Yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah,
A way to elevate your own sense of
yeah.
importance. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we've shaken your tree. Hurrah! Now we stay in the clearing, which is still in Epping Forest. Now we're going to talk about alchemy and gold. When you're
Mm.
at purpose and in flow, Michael Maloney, what are you absolutely happiest doing in what you're here to reveal to the world?
Um, this is a very good point, and I think it's gone. And I think it used to exist a lot with my acting quite early on in my 20s. And I think people do their best acting in their 20s, and it goes unacknowledged. And so no, here I am at 67 being acknowledged. Okay, I'll take it. Thanks very much. But there is some very inspired, in tune acting from people who've reached past the age of 21, and they're in the groove. And there's an extraordinary type of commitment, and I can't quite explain it, but there is some sort of balance and harmony within what someone is doing.
Yes,
And I think that's terribly exciting. Now I don't have that. I'm constantly assessing and calculating what is going on, how other people are having to function, and me having to interact with them on stage and in life. So I think finding a quiet place where you are happiest doing something is passing me by. But the very fact that I'm getting to do this part, and I'm getting to do this part every night, is the closest I'm going to get, and it makes me very happy.
So there's sort of a career alchemic bit of gold happening as we speak today.
As we speak in 4 hours' time.
Lovely.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
And now I'm going to award you with a cake. Hurrah! So
Good
first
Lord.
of all, do you like cake, Michael Maloney?
Do I ever? Do I ever? Sugar Rush Central. And in fact, we had our 100th performance, which was on Wednesday afternoon, I think. We had a cake. And my goodness, the speed with which we went through the afternoon. And how sad we felt much later after we came down from the sugary cake with buttercream. It's a wonderful cycle. A wonderful cycle. And I do like cake, and I like particularly now after that sugar-free cake. And I'm just trying to try and see something. Hold on. Someone keeps trying to open my door. Hold on. This is crazy. You hear it here. Hello. How can I help? You okay? Oh, sorry. I thought you were coming in through my door. Take care. Do you need me to? I'm here. Okay. Oh, there you go. All right.
That short shrifted them.
Yeah, no kidding.
They
exactly. They walked away. Yeah,
so there's going to be an evolution soon within the show where I'll end up sending you the actual cake. So what's your favorite cake that you'd like me to metaphorically send you?
Oh, right. Metaphorically shake. Okay. So, that's very good. Listen, we'll have thank you so much. We'll have a lemon drizzle cake.
That shall be yours. Now you get to put a cherry on the cake. You'll see where I'm going here. It's a last fused with storytelling metaphor.
How about that?
So you get to put a cherry on the cake with stuff like, what's a favorite inspirational quote at Michael Maloney that's always given you sucker and pulled you towards your future?
All right. I don't know who said this. I'm looking at those people. My God, I'm looking at
you stop being distracted. I'm trying to.
I'm looking out the window. Okay, so look, now here we go. Look, I'm back again. You have my undivided attention. I don't know who said it. I don't know who said this, but love is all there is. All the rest is illusion. And it's quite a good one to have, because that means that everything else has to fall away because you have your North Star, and that is love. That's it.
Lovely.
How about that?
Perfect. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Yeah, that's very, very good. And it's so ridiculously simple. It's just make it your own. Make it your own and be natural. That's it. And it's highly elusive, believe me, especially under pressure when you start acting.
Yes.
And you start acting on top of your acting. But if I could do that, that's it.
And I imagine that's given you great succor as we speak, because you've followed in the footsteps of David Suchet, Sir Kenneth Branagh, Peter Ustinov, and now you're doing the iconic Poirot yourself.
Exactly.
Make it your own.
Exactly. You just make it your own. But I'm informed by the fact that it's a stage version. This is the first touring stage show we've ever done, anybody's ever done, of Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
Around the country. It's very theatrical, and these things make it different from the film versions for a start.
Yes.
It means that everybody has to express themselves in a much louder and more physical fashion.
And will you be filming this for the sort of national? I know it's not the national that are doing it, but are you filming it for streaming as well?
That I don't know. I'm not sure there's, as they say, a motion capture of it at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's a very good point. And there's not been talk about that. There has been talk about future tours of this, one of which is going to China.
Ah, okay.
That's an option at the moment.
Yes.
So we'll see about that. But there may be, there are all sorts of things happening about this and future productions of Poirot-centric Agatha Christie plays.
Lovely. Tickety-boo. Okay, now we're ramping up shortly to Shakespeare to talk about legacy. But just before we get there, if I may, this is the pass the golden baton moment, please. They don't like it up, Mr. Mannering. So who would you like to pass the golden baton along to now that you've experienced this from within to be given a damn good listening to?
Yes, that's very good. Listen, I'm going to nominate Michael Fenton Stevens, who has his own podcast, incidentally.
Do you know what? I've already had him, if you'll pardon that particular expression.
I wish you hadn't said that, and now I can't get that out of my mind. But there you are, and it's a good thing, isn't he? Good. He's
gorgeous, and he's got a great. It's called Time Capsule, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Sorry to press you. because I've already had him.
Let's have him. Look, I'm going to take my fellow company member called Bob Barrett. I'd like him to be on it. He's well known for being in Holby City, in which he did 12 years. But he's extraordinarily interesting, and he is so music orientated. He'd make a very, very interesting subject. Very good. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And now, inspired by Shakespeare and all the world's a stage and all the midi players. You don't have to do any Shakespeare at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
But now we're going to talk about legacy and how, when all is said and done, Michael Maloney, British Hector, you would most like to be remembered.
In Shakespeare, by Shakespeare?
No, just you personally as
how I'd like to be
Howard
remembered.
Michael Maloney.
No, look, a proper actor. That's what I'd like to remember. A proper actor. Let's not pretend. I'm not going to be a literary giant. Much as I'd like to be a major poet, much as I'd like to be a major musician, a proper actor, but of significance and stature, but proper.
Lovely.
Yeah.
He was a proper actor. Love that.
Proper actor.
Now we've got a very exciting moment, which is called Show Us Your QR Code, please. If you're watching this, you can scan this and go and find tickets and the website for Murder on the Orient Express with Michael Maloney playing Hercule Poirot as we speak until, I think it's May this year, isn't it? You're on tour.
Yes, indeed, till May the 3rd. We close in Cheltenham. The preceding week is Brighton, which I always think is a good one. And we're going to play Bath.
Yes, and I was going to just mention that. Don't forget my tickets. Thank you.
Exactly. We're going to see Chris. We're going to see Chris Grimes at the Bath Theatre Royal. Very good. Yeah.
Lovely. So that was a QR code of that. So that's good. Where else can we find out all about you on the old interweb, Michael Maloney?
Well, that's very good. You can look at Wikipedia, of course, and then you can go. I tell you what. Take part in a podcast myself. It's a drama, and it's called Night Games. Night Games. It's very good. It's written by a fantastic writer called Craig Warner, and I think it can be accessed at least on YouTube. So if you want to listen to that, it's good. There are 10 episodes. Really, really good. Great writing. Quite eccentric. Just a two-hander. Good fun.
Lovely jubbly. And now, as this has been your moment in the sunshine, in the good listening to show, stories of distinction and genius, is there anything else you'd like to say, Michael Maloney?
Cucumbers. No, I'm all right. Thank you so much. I'm absolutely all right. I feel replete. And it was the cake. And I now cannot eat another thing. Thank you very much indeed. Am I going to talk to you about the music?
Yes, please. That's coming next. You see, you're just one step ahead.
There you are, you see.
It's in the script. It's the next page.
Thank you.
So you're now going to play us out with your favorite piece of music. And then this will be edited on at the end by... So the audience won't hear it now, but Dan, my podcast editor, will know exactly what to do. What's your favourite piece of music, Michael Maloney?
Thank you so much. It is, ladies and gentlemen, Hymn to Freedom by Oscar Peterson. You cannot ask for a definitive piece of music because there is so much and so many to fit all moods. But this is a masterclass in classical piano in jazz form by a consummate performer. And it is just so brilliant and uplifting. You gotta listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the gorgeous Hector, Michael Maloney. Just a quick plug, if you'd like to have a conversation about being on the show too, the website for the show is thegoodlisteningtoshow.com. Rather excitingly, there's a very poignant new series strand to the show, which is called Legacy Life Reflections, which is to record the story of somebody near, dear, or close to you for posterity, lest we forget before it's too late, using the same construct of this show. So do get in touch about that if you'd like to. And just another sort of slightly boring QR code. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can do that too. Good. But most importantly, back to Michael Maloney. Here is the QR code for his current tour, Murder on the Orient Express. Would you like to say anything else, Michael, at this point?
No, thank you, else. I'm all right.
Thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you for being here. I've been Chris Grimes. Thank you very much. And I'm now going to press a button that says end stream, which sounds like we're both going to stop weeing now.